Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time that you are watching this video. Welcome to the first flip class lesson. Right, so we'll be studying software design patterns and frameworks. So these two are the references for this particular module. One is Coursera module course, and the other one is a book which you will see in your ecal course in module. Right. Before we start, let's look at your how the marks can be obtained. So little different from last time. Last time it was one quiz depending based on the previous week quiz. But this time what we are going to discuss is we will have two quizzes. One is at the start of the class, we'll have a quiz about the video that will be posted on the LMS. And then we will have another quiz at the end of the class. And then the exam, open book exam, which now you are familiar with. I'm pretty much sure you have at least sit for two open book exams, if not more. So, and what is your experience on open book exams first and foremost? What do you think? Is it easy, difficult, time consuming, too much pressure? Let's discuss that as well. So you can see the mark distribution last year. So it's not a subject that you can get marks a little easier, and also not hard as well. Right. Design patterns. When it comes to design patterns, we are talking about software design patterns, but design patterns are not limited to software industry. So when it comes to design patterns, you can see design patterns everywhere. Constructions. Now you go to a architect and you show your land. Depending on your land, he will give you a house design. Go to a doctor. You tell your symptoms. Depending on your symptoms and few medical reports, he will give you a solution. And sometimes you don't have to go to a doctor. Even your friend who is sitting next to you will give you advices depending on your medical issues that you have. You might have a headache. He might tell you, okay, have some paracetamol or whatever, or have a nap. That's also a design pattern. Movies, right? You have design patterns in movies. if you are if you have watched many movies, you will see a same pattern in those movies. Food, ask from your mother. They will tell you, okay, for this particular item, this is how you cook. The combinations of food. You never have ginger tea after eating mayok. How do you know? Patterns. Chess patterns. Search for test patterns. Search the chess patterns. If you are a chess player, you can tell us how many chess patterns are available. Search for chess patterns and I understand how many chess patterns are there. Right. Let's elaborate one design pattern on rather on food preparation uh, pattern. Now you have this item, banana flour. I don't know how do you call it, and you have to make this curry. Ask from your mother how you convert this. Is it like a normal food preparation? I don't think so. Check with them. Ask with them. Ask from them. Patterns may change with the environment and time. So this photo that you are seeing on your left hand side, that was in 1992 World Cup. In that World Cup, for the first time in the history, spinner opened the bowling, Deepak Patel from New Zealand. In the subsequent World Cup, 1996, we had a different pattern where we introduced as Sri Lankans something called power hitting. So it's changed over the time. So remember, pattern can change. With respect to software design patterns, depending on the other factors, patterns may have changed. You are seeing a photo here, first photo, 5 MB hard drive. Yes, it's correct. 5 MB hard drive. Now, during that era, when you are looking at your patterns, you have to be very careful with patterns. You can't use large scale data sizes. For example, I remember when we designing applications, we are very concerned about data length. You can't have a customer name with 100. It has to be 50, 25. But now you have a 1 TB on your fingertips, at your fingertips. Accordingly, your design pattern should change. Like we saw in cricket, in software design pattern also, it has to change. Concept of design pattern was introduced by in building architecture, Christopher Alexander in 1970. Building structures and town planning should be supported by a design pattern. So what he said was, depending on the context, depending on the environmental constraints, your patterns are same. Problems are same. So you're giving a pattern for the given problem. So this is the video which I will share in a different link so that you can watch the little lengthy, you can watch this lengthy video. Right, let's come to software design patterns. Gang of Four, GOF design pattern catalog. So design patterns, elements of reusable object-oriented software book was written by a group of 4-person named these 4 people in 1995. So that is why All the design patterns were known as GO4 design patterns. We are talking about 23 design patterns. What's a design pattern? What is design patterns? It's a practical, effective, and proven solution for a recurrent problem. So it should be a recurrent problem, like the headache. Headache is a recurrent problem. And we know that having paracetamol for the headache is effective and proven, practical. So design patterns are used instead of using a basic OOP or programming concepts. So recall, what are your OOP concepts? We will discuss during the class. If you remember, we discuss about inheritance, interfaces, abstract, classes, objects. So refer to those things at your class. Now remember, the design patterns are not theoretical solutions. They are practical solutions. So 23 design patterns are defined. So we'll be looking at some of those, not all, some of those. Important. Now remember, design patterns do not guarantee an absolute solution. You may have to modify the existing design pattern, or you may have to combine some of the design patterns. And they provide the clarity, guideline to the system architecture and the possibility of building a better system. Remember, it's a guideline. Anti-patterns. We have patterns and we have anti-patterns. What we should not do. Common mistakes that we should avoid. And there are tactical solutions. Sometimes with the time pressure, you tend to do tactical solutions. You can't analyze the issue, so you do a very tactical solution. We need to deliver the product as soon as possible. So don't look at the long-term solutions. So those are anti-patterns. But in theory, in practical situations, we have to do tactical solutions as well. No matter how long-term solution can be given, there are financial obligations with your client. But when you are doing these tactical solutions, remember, do it with an understanding. Right. So we are looking at 23 design patterns. And when you tell 23 design patterns, there are three categories: creational, structural, behavioral. Don't buy hard these things. During this lecture series, we will understand how we can easily identify these things. So creational means how objects are initiated, how you create the objects. Remember OOP lessons that we learned? How do we create objects? Structural, how objects are connected to each other. After you create the objects, how they are connected. Behavioral, how they are behaving. Once you created the objects, how they are behaving. So those are the three types, the pattern types. So whenever you get a problem, first thing you need to understand whether it's a creational problem, structural problem, or a behavioral problem. Right. This is very important thing. In a classroom environment, we will be looking at design patterns and what type of a problem that can be solved. But remember, In a real world, it's the other way around. You get the problem. You need to find out what is the correct design pattern. Maybe one, maybe two, or maybe modified design pattern. That's a challenge you will have. No one will tell you, okay, we need a solution from this design pattern. No, it's the other way around. We have this problem. Can you solve it? It's up to you to decide what is the design pattern that you should use. So that is all about introduction to software design patterns. Thank you, and let's discuss this in details. And if you have any questions, have your questions and feel free to ask them. Thank you very much.